Week 8 in the NFL starts off with a big one as the first-place Green Bay Packers head to the desert to take on the NFL's only unbeaten team, the Arizona Cardinals. The season couldn't have started out much worse for the Packers, blown out by the Saints in Week 1, but have since won 6 straight and appear to be well-positioned to make another run at the Super Bowl behind their superstar quarterback, Aaron Rodgers.
I'm proud of our guys, the way we're playing, getting contributions from a lot of different guys.
Coming into the season, the Arizona Cardinals were picked to finish last in the NFC West. 7 weeks in, they still have a goose egg in the loss column, and their quarterback, Kyler Murray, playing at an MVP level.
Hopefully, we understand the task at hand, and we come ready to play on Thursday.
The Cardinals haven't even made it to the playoffs since 2015, but just making it won't satisfy this team. And assuming they get there, they'll likely have to go through a team like the Packers to play at SoFi in February. Will Kyler lead the high-flying Cardinals to a perfect 8-0 record at home, or will Rodgers make it 7 straight for the Packers? The stage is set for a great one as Week 8 is about to kick off.
And to break down the Thursday night game, welcoming 2 of the 3 members of the Pick 6 podcast. Download and subscribe today. CBS Sports HQ NFL analyst Will Brinson and Ryan Wilson. Big storyline, Davante Adams did not travel with the team. Slim chance he plays. Meantime, fellow receiver Allen Lazard already ruled out. The Packers wide receiver room is thin as they face their toughest test this season. Will, is this a Bobby Tonyan game or an Aaron Jones game, or perhaps both?
Yes and yes, Hakeem. Look, I do think what'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they deploy the various receivers and the tight ends and the running backs. Right? Excuse me. A.J. Dillon actually. Excuse me. A.J. Dillon actually had his snaps pulled back last week, maybe because of a fumble. But I can see a situation where Aaron Jones is used in a receiving role, and Dillon gets a lot more carries in this game. J.J. Watt's been ruled out for the Cardinals, so they may try an attack via the ground. The Packers are a slow, methodical offensive team. They don't run with a ton of pace, and I can see them trying to really work that clock in this game, being so thin at receiver. I love Tonyan in this spot. He's a guy who came on last week as a receiving tight end for Aaron Rodgers, and hadn't really had that breakout tight end one season that we thought he might. This could be a spot where he really gets right, and I think Aaron Jones primed for a monster game in the receiving role.
Yeah, he's going to have to be, right? Because 43.8% of the production in terms of targets from Aaron Rodgers to these receivers is not going to be there in Davante Adams and Allen Lazard, who look like they are not going to play for COVID protocol reasons. And you mentioned Aaron Jones. He's going to have to do some things. A.J. Dillon's going to have to do some things. Randall Cobb, who Aaron Rodgers demanded to be traded traded back to Green Bay, he's going to have to do some things. And he's flashed at times this year, but he's certainly not the player he was early on in his career in Green Bay. So it's going to be a large ask for a Packers offense that has looked pretty good this season, and an even larger ask for a defense that has not looked good for large portions of the season as well. And Akeem, my only concern, because you don't want to sleep on Aaron Rodgers no matter the situation, I just wonder if they get down early, if we might see something like we saw in Week 1 against the Saints, where Aaron basically threw up his hands and said, all right, I'll see you guys next week. I'll go through the motions, but I'm not really going to try the final 30 minutes and just pack it in. I don't know if he's going to do that. Hopefully the game is tight so it's more exciting. But at the end of the day, it wouldn't surprise me because we've seen it before. Week 1, we saw it at points last season. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't feel like playing, he's not going to play.
Aaron Rodgers 6-0 straight up since 2019 when Davante Adams doesn't play. Also an undefeated record here with the Cardinals, and one reason why Arizona is undefeated is because they have one of the best defenses in the NFL, allowing a league-low 16 points per game. However, as Will mentioned, they're going to be without defensive end J.J. Watt, who's dealing with a shoulder injury. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals looking to get to 8-0 for the first time in franchise history. He leads the NFL in completion percentage at 73.5%. Ryan, what have you seen from Murray and this high-flying Cards offense?
He is playing out of his mind incredibly well, and I think he's even convinced some of the doubters that he is legit, because we didn't know, right? When he was drafted out of Oklahoma, we thought he was playing baseball until the 11th hour. We didn't know what to expect from him. He was 5'10", he still is. He's incredibly mobile, but he is not even running the ball that often, Akeem. This is all about him throwing the ball. He does buy time in the pocket with his legs, but he usually stays behind the line of scrimmage and makes these unbelievably hard to fathom, jaw-dropping throws downfield. He does have some great receivers, of course, and Dre Hopkins. A.J. Green has refound himself. Rondell Moore has been a special talent. He's doing exactly what they hoped Andy Isabella would have done a few years ago. Christian Kirk's another guy. So the list goes on and on of players who are helping them out. They just traded for Zach Ertz because Max Williams got injured as well. And I think they'll be okay without J.J. Watt, only because not because they're playing Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers will likely be without two of his favorite targets, and that allows those other players in that defense to step up as well. Chandler Jones is back also. So there's a lot to like about this offense and this defense in Arizona. Isn't a Kansas City situation where Patrick Mahomes has to do everything because the defense stinks. These are two well-balanced units, and I think they're going to be ready to play on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that not running very much is severely underselling Kyler Murray's rushing this season. Aaron Rodgers had 17 rushing yards against Washington last week. Kyler Murray has 17 rushing yards in his last 3 weeks. He hasn't had a game, I believe, his biggest total this year is 39 rushing yards. He had a rushing touchdown in each of the first 3 games, and they were using him in the red zone. He's not scrambling. He's not taking off. Now, it is worth noting that in that one, in the game where it was close against Minnesota, he had 5 carries, 31 yards, and that touchdown. Maybe if this game turns into a bit of a shootout and the teams are going back and forth a bit, we could see Kyler Murray run more. But he's just developed into a pocket passer, a guy who's comfortable back there getting experience in this Cliff Kingsbury offense. And by the way, Kingsbury doing a really good job coaching. Has seemed to grow more comfortable, I think, as a head coach. Arizona's offense is just dynamic, and it's weird because I think one of the keys, obviously the key is Kyler, becoming this more comfortable pocket passer, but also, and you hate to say it because he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, top 5 wide receiver, but Larry Fitzgerald getting out of there and giving more snaps to, and I can't believe I'm saying this either, A.J. Green, Christian Kirk, and Rondell Moore as well, has just made this a much more explosive unit.
You take a look at what we've broken down thus far, right? We're trying to put knowledge in your mind so you can put some money in your pocket, and here's what we're going to try to do right now. Let's get your tippy top prop for Thursday Night Football. We'll start with you. What stands out?
Well, I mentioned Aaron Jones is going to be a key factor in the pass game, and I really think they're going to throw to him a lot. And his prop at Caesars, when we at least were planning the segment, was 35.5. It had been 33.5 receiving yards earlier in the week. As I told Rob, our producer, anything under 37.5, I'm fine with. And frankly, I think you could probably take it up into the 40s. I just think they are going to use him a ton in the receiving game. It'll help open up things and open up things for Bob Tonyan across the middle, free up things for other wide receivers, get the running game going. And this prop could hit early and easy if we get Aaron Jones a pass from Aaron Rodgers on one of those patented wheel routes they love to run that usually end up going for a ton of yards.
No, I like that, Will, because he's going to have to throw the ball, and Aaron Jones is going to have to be a target for him. I like Aaron Rodgers going 24.5 completions. He's gone over that number 2 of the last 3 weeks. And who has he done it against? He did it against football team last week, a team who every time you looked up was inside the red zone in Green Bay, and they turned the ball over. They had chances to score. They were a team that had a chance to be in that game. They didn't do it against Chicago because there's no offense from Chicago to have to go up against. So he threw the ball didn't throw the ball many times at all. And before that, the week before, was Cincinnati Bengals, another high-powered offense, which sounds sort of funny to say, but it's true. And the Packers had to go back and forth, punch for punch with them. That's exactly what's going to have to happen for the Packers to be in the mix tomorrow night against the Cardinals. Another high-powered offense, perhaps the highest-powered offense they've seen thus far. And I think it's going to require Aaron Rodgers not only to throw a lot, 35-plus times or thereabouts, but he's got to complete those passes. And Hakeem mentioned he's 6-0 without Davante Adams, which is pretty impressive. He's completing 70% of his passes. So, again, you get to 35 attempts. That gets you about 25 completions, and you're going to hit that number.
It's interesting because the narrative is always that Aaron Rodgers has nobody to throw to. But in this game, he really doesn't have a whole lot of guys to throw to when you consider that Davante Adams didn't travel. Alan Lazard is out. We're hoping that Marquez Valdez-Scantling comes off IR. Equinemius St. Brown. And then we got Randall Cobb. So we'll see how this plays out. But, again, Aaron Rodgers will tell you to relax because they haven't lost a game since week 1. So they feel pretty good. All right, let's get your game pick for Thursday night. Cardinals are a 6.5-point favorite. Total's 50.5. Both Green Bay and Arizona 6-1 against the spread this season. Ryan, who do you like in this spot?
I mean, you asked me this in August, maybe even a month ago. I'm obviously going with the Packers, but now knowing what we know, and not even so much the Packers' injuries, but more the way the Cardinals are playing on both sides of the ball, because I had them finishing last in this division. I'm taking the Cardinals at 6.5, and here's all you need to know, Akeem. Here's some games they played recently. Cleveland 2 weeks ago, they beat them by 23 points. Yes, Cleveland was banged up on the way to being banged up, still a really good football team. 2 weeks before that, the Rams, they beat them by 17 points. Week 1, they beat the Titans. Yes, a different team in week 1, but still a good football team by 24 25 points. So I don't think it's outrageous to think they can hang a 7-burger on the Packers and beat them when the Packers are down one of their best players and one of their most important targets after Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard.
Yeah, when we went to the props first, I thought it was just like showing me some mercy and skipping over the actual game pick. And I'm on the Packers at +6.5. Like, that doesn't make me feel good. I know when the line moved that much, a lot of people were like, "Oh wow, Devontae Adams moved the line three points." What actually happened was there were a ton of like sharp groups that started hammering the Cardinals at 3.5. They wanted it anyway. They were hoping to get 3, but when Adams was out, they jumped on it before the line moved, and that caused it to inflate even higher. Ryan's scorching hot this year. He's like 70 games above me in the standings, I think. But you give me 6.5 points with Aaron Rodgers on a Thursday night in prime time. I'm taking the points, and I'll take the Packers here. I don't know if they win, but I think they cover.
Yeah, Ryan has been the Nostradamus of NFL analysts across the entire media landscape. I mean, he's just dominating. I mean, stay hot, kid, indeed. But again, this trend does not help. Does not help Ryan. Aaron Rodgers 6-0 straight up since 2019 when Devontae Adams doesn't play. Perhaps he gets to 7-0, or the Cardinals get to 8-0 and they cover. We shall see. Ryan, Will, great stuff as always, breaking down the Thursday night game here on CBS Sports HQ. And for all things NFL, check out the Pick 6 podcast. Join Will Brinson and his super friends Ryan Wilson, John Breach, delivering your daily fix of NFL news and analysis. Gets you up to speed so you're always in the know. The Pick 6 podcast. Download and subscribe today.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.